Eric Frantz and Ajay Salveson again here on the Full Court Press, and the Utah State Hall of Fame banquet coming up later this weekend. A lot of great names, a lot of athletes who did some amazing things at Utah State, and we get to talk to one of them right now here on the Full Court Press. Tai Wesley had a tremendous career at Utah State, helped the Aggies win a ton of games.
Oh, dude, legitimate.
Great era of Utah State basketball that he was a part of. Tai, thanks for spending some time with us today.
Hi, Tai.
Hi, how we doing, guys? Thanks for having me.
We're good. Tai, what does this mean? Look, I think it was fully expected you were going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. But when you got that phone call, can you just tell us what the emotions and the feelings that came through you about it?
Yeah, man, it was a surreal phone call that I got. I thought it was a prank call, to be honest, to start. And then, as it continued to go on, my jaw hit the floor. I got the chills. It was something that was just unreal to hear that. So, yeah, very, very honored and grateful.
So, I mean, you're in some pretty good company, too. Some of the other guys that are there that are participating in this induction ceremony, certainly when we look at in basketball specifically, JC is going to be inducted with you as well. I mean, that was a really incredible period of time when you guys were playing. The Spectrum became magical, known around the country for its impact and just how good of a program that you were a part of. What was that experience like for you as a player, being a part of a program that had such success at Utah State?
Yeah, it's not, honestly, when you're going through it, it's not something that you think about. It's not something that you really talk about. You kind of just becomes a norm. When we played at home, we expected the crowd to sell out. We expected to be crazy, and we expected to win. And that's kind of what our expectations were going into it. But then you take a step back and you look at it, and there's definitely some things that we as a team and coaching staff were very proud of, and we could be very proud of.
Tai, when you think about your Aggie career, what is it that most stands out to you? Was it the guys you played with? Was it the postseason tournament games? Was it your relationship with the coaches? What was it about it?
Definitely. So the wins and losses are something that are great. 68-1 at home was in my career, but the biggest thing that I took away from that were the relationships I made. I mean, going through the trenches with those guys, my teammates. You really have this bond that you become brothers, and so. Those are things that are still intact today. A relationship with coaches and even fans. Wild Bill was one of my best friends and still is one of my best friends today. So those are things I take away that I cherish the most. The championships were great. The wins were great. The fans were unbelievable. The moments were awesome. But things that last are those relationships.
We're going to get a chance to speak with your head coach here this week. And it was Coach Morrill. What was it like playing under him, and what kind of, how did he help you as a player and as a person?
Coach Morrill was the best thing for me. Maybe not everybody, but for me, he was the best coach that I could have ever asked for. And he was a father figure for me, especially in a time when I was, I have a father and he's an amazing man, but he was in Hawaii and I was in Logan, Utah. So Coach Morrill would set me straight quite a bit, lay down some ground rules. He was really that yes sir, no sir kind of guy. Didn't take any crap, and it was exactly what I needed. And he was able to put me in a position to succeed, teach me these life lessons on the court that would translate off the court, hard work, dedication, teamwork, sacrifice, and I'm forever grateful for that man.
Speaking of being grateful, the Spectrum was at its peak during your time at Utah State University, with the Herd and the Spectrum just being sold out, standing room only every single night. I was just looking at the bio here from your guys' 08-09 season. You guys went 17-0 at home. You didn't lose a game inside the Spectrum. Tai, like, how incredible is that?
Yeah, I mean, it was magical. They say Spectrum magic, and it's real. I mean, I went undefeated 3 of my 4 years at home.
Oh my gosh!
So it was, like I said, it felt like we could never lose at home. We were always going to win. We're going to find a way and get it done. and more often than not, that was the case. So it was just such a cool time. I say it was the perfect storm because really we had a team that embraced the community and a community that embraced the team. We really were part of that community and embraced by them and the students. We had Wild Bill, who was taking his shirt off. We had Matt Sonnenberg, who was riding up the refraction. They were doing their dirt, digging up dirt on the other team. I mean, it just really came together and was something special.
Ty, did you ever get distracted by Wild Bill? I mean, you're sitting on the free throw block waiting to box out, and coach is screaming at you to box out, and then you look to your right, and there's Wild Bill shirtless doing something crazy.
Or some weird costume.
Yeah, did you ever get distracted by it?
Every time. What do you mean? Wild Bill is one of my best friends, and he would talk to me during the game. He'd say, "Hey, where are we going after the game?" I said, "I don't know. Let's go grab some ice cream or some food, or let's go to Angie's after the game." It's typically where we went. Or he'd say, "Hey, Ty, what's up with this guy you're guarding?" Or we'd have a full conversation at the foul line. So yeah, he distracted me all the time. Still does.
You were talking to Tai Wesley. He will be inducted into the Utah State Hall of Fame coming up this weekend. Certainly one of the greats at Utah State basketball. Multiple times recognized in the WAC. You were the WAC Player of the Year. That was an interesting time as Utah State had transitioned out of the Big West and into the WAC, where it was a more competitive basketball league. But Utah State really didn't skip a beat with the basketball program. What was it like competing against some of those teams in the WAC during that time for you?
So my redshirt year, I was in the Big West. So I was a freshman. It was JC's freshman year, Spencer Nelson's senior year. I redshirted. So I remember the Big West days, and I remember how tough the Big West was. There was a lot of California teams. We played at the Anaheim Convention Center for the Big West tournament. And I remember Coach Morrill preparing us. I remember him saying, "Hey, the WAC's another level, another step up, and if we're not ready, we're going to get ran over." So I remember him preparing us for that, but I always knew that we would be fine because we had a great coach and a great system, and we had great players. I have so many teammates that were just amazing basketball players, but amazing human beings, amazing high character individuals, which really stood out to me at my time at Utah State.
You were one of the very few teams to beat BYU. In fact, you did it at home. Help me here, though, and correct me if I'm wrong. Did you guys beat BYU at BYU during your time as well?
We did not. So we went down there my senior year, and I got kind of a bad deal on a call at the end of the game, which took me out of the game. We were in a tight ball game with them, but we didn't get over the hump, and I got kicked out of the game a little earlier than I'd like to have.
How tough was that for you to choose Utah State over BYU? Your older brother played there. I know you were recruited by the Cougars as well. What was that process like for you on settling on coming to Logan?
Well, they made the decision for me, if we're being honest. So BYU offered me a scholarship. I accepted it verbally committed to BYU, and then they pulled out the scholarship and said that it wouldn't be there till after my mission, which I thought was a dirty play. So then I uncommitted to BYU and shopped around. And Utah State Coach Morrill came in and was very honest, and then I ended up at Utah State.
Can I ask what that conversation was like with Coach Morrill that brought you to Utah State?
Yeah, it was just real. He said, "We'd love to have you. We offered you a scholarship when you committed to BYU, and you turned us down. That didn't turn us away from you. We still want you to come play for us." And I just liked how real he was with me. He was honest and real, and that really won me over.
Ty, when you were done and completed your time at Utah State, you had a pretty lengthy career professionally overseas, and it took you to some pretty interesting places. Kind of for those who may have missed what you've done professionally on the court, kind of run that through some of the places where you've been. Seems like a lot of it kind of in the Asia, South Pacific kind of areas, but where have you been?
Yeah, so I played 2 years in Holland, 1 year in France, 3 years in New Zealand, and 3 years in Australia.
Wow.
Goodness.
That's nuts.
Gracious.
But in that process, you've been a part of some teams which have participated and played in some preseason games with NBA teams. and I know you've been a part of that. What was that experience like for you, being able to play on an NBA court and be involved in some of those matchups?
Yeah, that was an unreal experience. It was so just to be able to play on U.S. soil, professional basketball was something special. My friends and my family could come watch me play, and playing in the NBA is a dream. So it was so special to do that. My team from Australia, we came out here to Oklahoma. We played the Thunder when they had Westbrook, Carmelo, and Paul George, Steven Adams. And we lost by 1 point on a buzzer beater, which was heartbreaking, but also we felt pretty good about that effort. And then the next year, my team in New Zealand got to play against the Phoenix Suns when they had DeAndre Ayton and Devin Booker.
Cool.
And we lost by 5 to them, which was a pretty good effort as well.
You've had a lot of memorable wins at Utah State. Which ones stand out to you the most?
Probably the one that stands out to me the most was sophomore year. Actually, we were in Nevada for the WAC tournament, playing against Nevada on their home court in the championship game, and it was a tall task. It was something like Nevada was a tough team that year, and to get them on their home court to win the WAC championship was something that I'll always remember. It was very special. My senior year, we played against St. Mary's at St. Mary's. It was a bracket buster game. I think they were 17th in the nation. We were 20th or something, and we went in, beat them on their home court. That was really special as well.
Again, we're talking to Tai Wesley, great Aggie basketball player, inducted into the Utah State Athletics Hall of Fame coming up this weekend. What does that mean to you to be now a member of the Hall of Fame at Utah State? There's not a lot of players or former coaches who are part of that group. It's a pretty select group, and you're among them. Is that sunk in for you, or is that like, well, yeah, absolutely, I belong there?
No, it hasn't sunk in. It's something. It's everything. You don't sit out for it, but it's not something that I ever imagined. I was a chubby kid from Provo High School to come, play for a coach who helped me win a ton of games to help us, led us to win, 4 WAC championships in a row. And it's crazy. My mind is still, it's hard to wrap around it, but I'm so honored. It's such a high praise. I hold it in such high regard. And look at the class I'm going in with. I got J.C. Carroll, Bobby Wagner, Robert Turbin. These guys are elite of the elite for Utah State.
Ty, I'm going to put you on the spot. If there's someone that you played with at Utah State on the basketball team that deserves a Hall of Fame induction, who is that person?
Gary Wilkinson. That's easy.
Why would you select him?
Did you ask somebody that's not in there that deserves to
correct.
be in there right
Yep,
now?
yep.
Yes.
That's correct, yeah.
So the reason I say Gary Wilkinson, he was a WAC Player of the Year. He was an All-American, and he's one of my best friends. And so maybe I'm a little biased, but the guy's done everything I've done and more, and he did it in 2 years, and it took me 4 years to do it. He was All-American. He was WAC Player of the Year, WAC MVP, tournament MVP, excuse me. And so, without a doubt in my mind, that's an easy question for me to answer.
Ty, I'm looking at some of it. We have these posters of all the schedules back in the day, what the rosters would look like, and you play with some pretty darn good basketball teams. Can I just ask, like, in practices, was there any trash talk, or did you guys just shut up and play?
There was always trash talk.
You got to tell me stories. I need stories, please. I'm begging you.
Who's the biggest talker?
Me.
Besides
I'm the biggest talker.
Me! I love that!
So the best was my freshman year. So I was this punk high school kid, and Spencer Nelson was the man. He was a senior, had been there, and he was the man. He was awesome human being, awesome to play with. But I would always be the scout squad team. So we'd go out there and run the plays from the other team, and I would talk so much trash. I'd shoot the ball, even though I'd probably miss. I'd still talk trash until I hit it in his face. And then I remember they were playing Arizona in the NCAA tournament, so I got to be Channing Frye, and I got to wear the red jersey and just jack threes. It was the highlight of my career.
Did you ever get underneath anybody's skin?
Oh, I got under JC's skin every day.
No kidding.
I would, I would do the dumbest stuff to JC, and I don't know why, because I think I was jealous or for whatever reason, but he cut his hair really short once, like buzzed it, and I said, man, you look like Jonathan Tavanari. And be like, he was so mad about that.
So you could definitely dish it out. Was anybody like send it back in return? Yeah. Who else was challenge you?
Well, nobody would get. I mean, me and Brady had some really, really good battles. Me and Brady Jardine. You know, Brady's so tough to guard because he'll just jump over you, grab it, and dunk it. You know, so he was a tough matchup. I don't know. We had battles. You know, who's the biggest prick was Morgan Grimm. He was always trying to fight people and get under our skin.
Oh, this is so worth it to have this story. Oh my gosh, that made my day. When I interviewed Spencer Tai, I think we did like a year ago during Hall of Fame, same week, and Spencer's like, no, I didn't talk a whole lot. You know, we just went out there and played. And in my mind, I was like, dude, these teams were too dang good not to be talking to each other.
Too competitive. There had to be something going on.
I would talk to Spencer all the time. I would talk trash to him all the time. But I was a punk freshman that didn't know anything, which was true. I was just out there, you know, had no cares in the world. But yeah, I mean, we couldn't get a word out of Jared Quayle. He would never talk. You know,
not the first time I've heard that.
Yeah, Gary and I had to soften up Jared. So Jared's the guy that doesn't want to touch anybody. He wants to stay in his bubble. Not a huge talker. So Gary and I would corner him in the elevator and give him a lap dance or something. He would lose his head.
Hey, Ty, I gotta ask you. You went from a punk kid freshman to an All-American. If you had to put your starting five together of the best Aggie basketball players to go win a game, who would you have in the starting five?
Oh, that's tough. So I'd probably the guys before me are hard because they were. I mean, I don't want to disrespect them.
No.
But I would definitely have Gary as my 5 man, me as the 4. JC's got to be in there as a shooting guard. Tony Brown was ridiculous, and I played with him a couple times just in some practices. He was an unreal point guard, so I'd probably take him or Jared Quayle at the 1, and then at the 3, I'd take Tyler Newbold, and the reason is he would play the best defense on the best guy, and he wouldn't have to take a lot of shots because there wouldn't be a lot of shots left over after he got that.
His touches would be limited. Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome.
We'd fight. Me, Gary, and JC would probably be fighting over the ball.
Hey, Ty. So, what your professional basketball career, is it still going on, or have you hung up the jersey and moved on to other things now?
Well, I mean, my city league team pays me for like Wendy's if I come out and play with them. So that's semi-pro, I guess. But no, we retired from professional basketball in 2020 with COVID. It was sad because I had 2 more years on my contract, but COVID hit and we just had our 3rd baby and we decided to hang it up, my wife and I. And so nothing really professional. I could still play for the Guam national team here and there. But yeah, basketball, my next phase, I hope I get into is coaching because I'd like to coach basketball. I'd like to teach some kids some post moves, get some guys on the block and help them.
Ty, if I set up an alumni game, would you play?
Yeah, I'd play as long as I could talk some trash.
Well, that's the only reason I'm just setting it up so I can watch courtside and watch you guys talk smack to each other. And I've already got 6 guys who've told me yes. So, and I think 5 of the 6 you probably embarrassed a little bit on your own time. So I think you enjoy it.
This is the problem, man. So like you have this legacy where you're like, oh, you were pretty good back in your day. But then you go play and you're like, man, you're terrible. These guys are just destroying me. So then it's like, the more I play, the more my legacy gets like knocked down a few pegs. So I'm like, maybe I should hide out and not play basketball ever again.
Who would hurt?
Think I was pretty good.
Who would hurt more from the alumni game, you or Gary Wilkinson?
Gary for sure.
You're
I'm
a
in
little
better
more
shape
in
than
basketball
Gary.
shape.
Gary, you're one of the best, man. Not Gary, sorry. Now I got Gary in my head. Ty, you are one of the best, no doubt. All-American, and you had a heck of a career with the Aggies, man. It was a blast to watch you play, and I can't congratulate you enough for the incredible honor you're about to get here this weekend. Wish you the very best in it.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate the call.
Tai Wesley, absolutely deserving for being inducted into the Utah State Athletics Hall of Fame.
I'm so angry I didn't get to go to those practices, though. I would do anything. And I've got 6 guys, and now I got 7 in the alumni game, so if I get that to happen, yummy.
Hey, thanks, Ty. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Ty.
All right, have a good one, guys.